Got very good arms.
He didn't fall? Inconceivable.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and I got Doc with me today. We're going to talk about a little bit of This Week in X-Men. How you doing, Doc?
I'm spectacular, dude.
So we got, some interesting news. We predicted it last week. Another X-Men series is going to be releasing in March, and this one seems to be right up your alley. A new cable series?
Yeah. Honestly, I it's another one where I'm torn, but yeah, a new cable series is exactly what I was kind of hoping for in the not too distant future.
So were you hoping for young cable or old school cable?
I was hoping for real cable. I mean, but I think, at this point, I just have to kind of accept that, and that's not what I'm getting. I'm not going to be getting real cable anytime soon.
So it's interesting. It feels like another, I don't want to put it nail in the coffin for Fallen Angels, but I think it's further confirmation that maybe that hiatus is going to be even further extended, because Cable is one of the three main characters of that series. Is that how you're taking it as well?
Yeah, I am. And you know what? When I was reading back through Fallen Angels, because I just reread it when I read issue 4 yesterday, and or actually this morning. And the one thing I noticed is on the title page, this is the only of the X-Men books, of the Dawn of X books, that I've noticed this on. But if you look at the white title page, where it it has the issue number and the issue name and everything, it says Warrior X, and then it says Limited. So that's kind of an indication to me that this was always planned as a limited series, and they just kind of didn't bother to tell us.
Well, Bryan Hill himself said on social media that he was coming back to the series, and don't be worried. But
yeah, but I'm betting that it's going to be in a different incarnation at this point.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're not talking about Fallen Angels. That's one of the ramifications of this X cable series. One of the things that I find interesting is Ed Brisson is the most accomplished X-Men writer that's in Dawn of X, outside of Hickman, because I would say his House of X Powers of 10 is better than even Brisson's Extermination series. But speaking of Extermination, that was the introduction of Kid Cable to the universe. It's kind of his character, it's his idea. Why isn't he writing this? Why is it a Gerry Duggan vehicle?
Because Gerry Duggan is the guy that they call anytime they want to just get a series running for 5 issues that doesn't actually matter. He's just a bland. He'll follow whatever script they want and just make something boring that'll work. The people will buy temporarily until they get bored. Why they don't have Ed Brisson on it, damned if I know. Maybe he's already gotten bored of the character. He did do Extermination, and then he did the X-Force series. Mm-hmm. So maybe he's just already bored of the character. He got 15 issues or so of writing Kid Cable. Maybe that's all he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, maybe.
Yeah. I can't really guess why. But if they actively avoided asking Brisson and just sought out Gerry Duggan, then it's just kind of another disappointment in the way that the Dawn of X books have gone. It's like for every good move they make with Ben Percy and Adam Kubert on Wolverine, they need to screw it up by having some bland nobody, the vanilla midgets of the comic industry doing a book like Cable.
It's interesting, because I read his Savage Sword of Conan. He did the first 5 issues of that, really good. His Savage Avengers is actually pretty good. There was a recent issue with basically Conan and Punisher as like a kind of team up book that was excellent. But he doesn't seem to work as well in the X-Men universe. He tries to infused too much humor in he's not funny.
Yeah, he's really not funny. I know he had that real long run on Deadpool, and he was paired with Bryan for half of it, with, I guess, Bryan doing most of the jokes, considering he is an actual comic. Then, maybe he just figured he could learn how to be funny, except for he's not funny. I don't know. I mean, honestly, you know what? I could honestly see him doing Gerry Duggan doing an okay, or even good Cable book, with, somebody, if he was writing real Cable. But I think with Teen Cable, he's going to make it into a joke book.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing too because they got a pretty good artist. I like Phil Noto.
Yeah, I like Phil Noto too. He does it's a little too photorealistic to me, and I like that. I've never really seen much of his doing interiors because he's mostly, in my experience, a cover artist. So I'm curious to see what kind of a style he brings to interiors. I'm very curious whether or not he's going to use the same style he uses for his cover work on his interior work. And
yeah. So, one of the things I'm kind of noticing is when they announce the creative team, it's basically a writer and maybe a primary artist and a bunch of fill-in artists. Do you think that'll be the case here with Cable as well? Or is that the kind of the vibe you're starting to get with Dawn of X?
Well, the problem is they're over shipping these books. I mean, and I don't mean over shipping as in like more than they're ordered. I mean, they're shipping them too frequently. The creative team can't keep up. The writers can. Because the writers are only doing one book each, and doing one book at Marvel script rates probably doesn't really pay the bills. But when they're getting 2 to 3 issues a month, that'll pay the bills as a writer. But the problem is you can't find an artist that can keep that up. I mean, not everyone is Mark Bagley or John Romita Jr. circa 1997. Not all these guys can keep up a book and a half a month kind of pace, and so they end up with a bunch of fill-ins because they don't get enough books in the can. And every issue, I mean, you're seeing it on like Marauders and New Mutants already. With
X-Men's going to have RB Silva. There's another fill-in artist before you comes back, I believe, for issue 6.
Yeah, and the fact is, Lionel Yu is a pretty quick artist too. The fact that you're already outpacing him just means you're shipping these books too frequently. But yeah, I think Cable will be another one where I'm betting Phil Noto gets. Honestly, if this book is a 6-issue miniseries, I'm betting Noto gets 2 of the issues. That would be my guess.
So, I mean, I know Cable, he's your second favorite character, right? Or is it just X-Men?
Yeah. No, he's probably my second favorite. Well, no, he's probably my third favorite overall character, second favorite X character.
Oh. So you're going to give it a shot, though, even though it's Gerry Duggan. Even with your apprehension, you're going to give it a shot, and we're going to talk about it right here on Thinking Critical.
Yes, absolutely, because you know what? Cable is an automatic sell. And you know what? Honestly, now that I think about it, Ed Brisson has done a couple other. I mean, he did that run on Cable with John Malin.
Yes, he did.
That was really just amazing. I mean, it was just good, like kind of deep lore Cable. It was a good Cable comic.
It even had the New Mutants, or some of the New Mutants as like his co-stars. They weren't annoying or anything. They were pretty good. Yeah,
it was like an X-Force New Mutants mashup team, like all the different eras of New Mutants and X-Force. Because it had Dupe in there from like the late X-Force / Ecstatics days. It had Shatterstar in there. It had everybody. It was just this great kind of mix. And I would have still loved to see a continuation of that, and that's one of the reasons why I was hoping that Ed Brisson would have been the guy that was writing it. But even though we're getting Gerry Duggan, from time to time he does do a solid job. So never mind.
So we've talked about this cable series with Gerry Duggan. Let's talk about some of the new comics this week. We got to talk about X-Force #4. As far as I'm concerned, it's the best Dawn of X comic so far. It's one of the two it's definitely in the top 5 of all the X-Men comics that have been released this year. What did you think about X-Force #4?
Oh, I thought it was dope. And I think it is with, hands down the best of the Dawn of X books. It feels like the actual successor to House of X, Powers of X. It feels like it took that same, whereas everybody else kind of maybe a little bit has kind of forgotten all the ideas launched in those books. X-Force did not. X-Force has not forgotten one bit about that.
It seems like they're all partying and celebrating all the other books, and here you have real repercussions. You're seeing, the threat is real. The opening scene, just the art on it is amazing. You see these special ops guys coming up, take out like a pharmaceutical distribution center,
and a Madrox dies, and I mean, it's just a dupe, but still, come on, it's still. And
then the Jean Grey presenting the visuals, for them to all see what happened. Oh, spectacular!
Yeah, kind of like hologram projected psychic hologram style. Oh, dude, that looks like it should have been a movie.
It was awesome.
The way that they did it. It was very cinematic. That's the one thing that I really do like about the X-Force book. It feels like a comic, but it also has a very cinematic style. Not in a, well, this could be easily filmed, this would be really hard to film, but it feels like it's a movie at the same time.
So, I've already talked about X-Force #4 kind of in depth. So there's two things I want to talk to you about. This book started out great and it just crescendos the entire way through. It just gets better and better and better. When we finally meet Forge, when we kind of get an idea of what he's using Krakoan organic technology to do and what he's building, I was like, there's no way they're beating this part. What did you think about when Forge finally shows up? He and Wolverine are talking. He shows him his adamantium skeleton. You see all this stuff in the background.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what he's done. Now it's a little weird for me seeing Forge messing with organic tech, because that I would have probably, now me, I would have assumed that they would have gone the opposite way, where Forge feels really kind of confused and what's my purpose here, because he deals with tech and they're dealing with all organics, but him kind of merging the two, I've never really thought of him in a way of merging organics and tech. I mean, yeah, obviously with his cybernetic leg and cybernetic hand, he's obviously done it, but I mean actual using organics as tech, that was really cool. And it explains a lot about their cerebro and how they're able to kind of grow weapons. And I really like that. And I feel like Forge, I felt like that would have been more of a Madison Jeffries, the guy that was Box from Alpha Flight, and was in X Club. I felt like that would have been more of a Madison Jeffries thing, but yeah, I could definitely see Forge going that way. And, the thing with, I wasn't sure what that was in the vat. I knew it was adamantium. I thought it was just liquid adamantium. I didn't think that was a skeleton.
No, I think it's a ready-made new Wolverine armor.
Okay.
For when he's if he gets killed, so they can bring him back to full strength immediately.
Yeah. And I think that, because that makes sense, because again, it was one of the complaints that we had, during House of X, Powers of X, whenever they were, growing New Mutants, how in the hell does Wolverine get his adamantium skeleton back? Come on.
Yeah, they got it pre-brewed and waiting for to graft it back on him.
Exactly. And that's so cool.
So when Wolverine says, "I have an idea for this," but they don't go into it, and then there's the notes where it's got all the projects, which was one of my favorite white pages ever.
Yeah.
What do you think he's talking about? What do you think he wants him to make with that adamantium?
I don't know, and I'm really curious. Like, I don't even want to speculate because I know that it's going to be so far off the mark.
Mm-hmm. That was cool.
I'm really curious what Wolverine has in mind there.
So we got to talk about the end because, like I said, it gets better and better and better. I couldn't believe the last few pages. The xforce are there. You got the operations branch. You got the intel branch. The intel branch has got them ginned up and ready to go. They go down to Forge. They get some technology to get Domino a little bit more powerful. She's still healing. Mm-hmm. They get the call. It's time for X-Force to jump into action, for them to go secure another site that these, I don't know if they're Reavers, but they appear maybe be Reavers, are taken down. And they just murder Wolverine and Kid Omega immediately?
Yeah, I mean, I love it, but my initial reaction was, holy shit.
I know, I was like, what?
But then my second reaction was, they still can clone them.
Well, yeah, but it was still crazy. Like, how did they do that?
Well, just shutting off that gate.
Yeah, they cut him halfway as he was jumping through.
Yeah. And, Kid Omega's head got cut off because he wasn't, only his head was through. And yeah, it reminds me of old X-Men. Whenever Bishop first showed up and, he came through that portal that Trevor Fitzroy created, and Bishop and Malcolm and Randall came through, and both of them kind of got shoved back through, except for Bishop, and Bishop ended up being the only guy that survived, or somebody got shoved back through the portal, but the portal was one of those one-way portals, so it just shredded the guy as he was trying to go back through. It was going on a one-way, or when you're leaving the parking lot at the little
closet
the
so you can't exit.
Yeah, the thing where you can't, severe tire damage, don't back up.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like, except for it was for people.
It was insane. I couldn't believe it. And you got the special force guys. We got it secured, and they're looking at their bodies. I was like,
and I'm
this is nuts. I was like, what a cliffhanger! That's how you end a comic.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I read that and I was like, I'm like, please let this have more stakes than the Xavier death, because that one felt. Give me, I'm giving them the chance. It feels like they're getting a redo on this one because they took the stakes out with Xavier, because it was kind of a letdown. It was good, but it was still a letdown. You kind of we're like, okay, well, he's just going to be right back. But this one, it works because it was immediate need. There was an immediate need for those two to make it through. Actually, for all three of them to make it through, and they did it.
So I thought it was great. I like that there's an entity out there that's handing the X-Men their ass right now.
Yeah,
we know that they're powerful. We know that they're unified force, but there's somebody out there that's got the jump on them right now, and they're kind of behind the eight ball.
They're chasing. Oh, excuse me. They're chasing right now. And whoever it is, this group,
Xeno,
this Xeno they're a step ahead of them every time, and the X-Men, their intelligence is poor. Right now, they're trying to play catch up, and when they're running into it, they're running in headlong with no thoughts. They're thinking, okay, well, we could just use our portals to run through, and these people have already thought ahead of you. Xeno's already ahead of. Well, we're not even sure if this is Xeno. Remember, because they said that
the weapons and stuff are different.
Yeah. It's different. Now, I think that that's probably to keep the X-Men off the trail. That they're changing up their weapons and their gear to keep the X-Men confused, because that's how you stay.
Well, I mean, they could have little pockets out there that are self-contained and they don't want to communicate and stuff. Like you're going to do this,
like different terror cells kind of thing. Or it could just be because they're trying to keep them on their toes without being predictable. And either way, it's cool that all of these people, it's one of those things where mutants come in saying like, we're your new gods now. And the humans are being like, all right, fine. Well, we'll just outsmart you.
So, hey, Doc, we're kind of running out of time. There's a couple more topics I want to cover real quick. Just in a minute or two, is there another X-Men comic that was released this week? I think there was 5 of them that really you thought hit it out of the park and did a great job besides X-Force number 4. I
really enjoyed Fallen Angels. I thought that it's kind of taking this idea that Bryan Hill had with kind of building out Quanen's, world and history and everything, and also tying it into, somebody that wants Cable for that exact reason, like this whole artificial intelligence thing. And, I feel like this is going to be an important book in the future for, especially if you go back to the, House of X, Powers of X thing with, needing, with the humans using artificial intelligence to become their, to outsmart and outwork and out-evolve the mutants. I feel like this is an important that this APOTH and overclock drug is important to that, is an important step in that.
Awesome. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is New Mutants number 4. The weird thing is Jonathan Hickman's issues and Ed Brisson's issues don't feel like the same comic. It feels like I'm reading 2 different comics. So that's already jarring enough.
Yeah.
But the idea between this last 2 issue story to where you have mutants that are out there that aren't on Krakoa that are being utilized or being used by people that want to get a hold of mutant drugs from Krakoa is smart. It's a great storyline. It makes sense, but the execution for me has been abysmal by Ed Brisson, and I'm shocked.
I am too. It's terribly disappointing. I thought Ed's a better writer than this. And because these 2 issues have been atrocious. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, I hate Glob. I am so tired of Glob, and I'm so tired of people trying to make Glob into a thing.
Well, I think that's his favorite X-Men character.
I think that the problem is I think it's a lot of people's favorite X-Men character that are writing X-Men right now, and that's a sign to me that they shouldn't be writing X-Men. But off, on the rest of it, Armor just feels boring. She's just generic hero girl. There's nothing unique about her. I'm still I'm still so confused on why every time they show Sage, she looks like Jubilee in 1992. And like, okay, drunk Tabby is interesting, but not all that great. I don't understand what the point of this is. I mean, I understand. I like the idea of, okay, you're essentially, it'd be like an American expat that's living overseas and, down in Mexico and ends up as a great target for, the cartel kidnappings. That's a great concept. I like it. But the fact that this felt too like I was like the white page on that drug and the CEO of the pharmaceutical company. I'm like, Jesus Christ, did this guy just find out about that Martin Skelly guy that's in jail? Like, That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Why is this still in? Why is this still being referenced in comics?
Yeah. There's some other stuff in there, but we are out of time. I really appreciate your thoughts on This Week in X-Men. We got Cable coming out soon. X-Force number 4 was off the charts. Fallen Angels number 4 was pretty good, and we were both very disappointed in New Mutants number 4.
Yes, and nobody at this point even gives a damn about Excalibur.
No.
Marauders actually wasn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mind Marauders. I'm still kind of giving it a fair shake.
All right. Well, hey, Doc, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you next week about X-Men.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.